I am Rodrigue, Duke of Fraldarius. I wish to fight at your side.
Today we're talking about Rodrigue, who is the Grand Hero Battle Unit for the Choose Your Legends 10 banner. Duke Fraldarius, the Shield of Fargus, and Felix's father, gets a decent amount of screen time and actually is playable in 3 hopes. Rodrigue is a Holy Knight, so he will be a Blue Mage Cavalier in Fae. For stats, Rodrigue's got 41 HP, 48 attack, 26 speed, 27 defense, and 49 res. Not an unusual high attacking res stat line for a mage, but we do not see these types of stats for free-to-play mage calves. Among all color types, Rodrigue is miles ahead when it comes to resistance. He even has a super boon, and he's going to be putting that high res to the test. Hopefully it's enough to offset his very middling speed. With less and less heroic row units, the ones with unique weapons further stand out, and Rodrigue's masterful aura is going to go even further beyond to make him extremely unique. As start of either phase, Rodrigue grants plus 6 attack and res, fringe bonus, and breath type cooldown to allies within 2 spaces. Rodrigue then gives himself the magic twin save status when enemy phase starts. He will get contact distance with a max of 3, min of 1. For combat, Rodrigue has slaying with the usual plus 15 stats, 25 true damage, and 15 flat damage reduction. Last, if Rodrigue does end up triggering Savior, he will calculate the enemy's damage at 50% during combat. So in general, Rodrigue has fun and simple support. You got plus 6 attack and res with fringe bonus to double up those stats in combat. Slaying and breath type cooldown is amazing for a free-to-play Cavalier. Meanwhile, contact distance is awesome too. Rodrigue will put his high res to the test because he has magic twin save. Basically, Rodrigue is going to use Savior on allies within 2 spaces when they get attacked by dragons, mages, and healers. The magic twin save status also disables adaptive damage, so Rodrigue will get to use his high res versus dragons. If he uses a % special that only activates once, like Ice Wall, twin save will let it trigger a second time. Basically, the Shield of Fargus is just doing his job, at least against magic damage. Unfortunately, mage calves are not exactly the best tanking class in my opinion. Well, that's probably why, if Rodrigue does use Savior, he cuts all incoming damage in half. This effect is implementing House Fraldarius' Heroes Relic, the Aegis Shield. With the Crest of Fraldarius, you can trigger Papers or Aegis, which literally cuts physical or magical damage in half. It's pretty accurate in Fae, but is that enough to survive? Before we ponder that question, Aegis Shield style gives Rodrigue a few more surprises. First off, Rodrigue can cut damage in half when initiating. As a bonus, Rodrigue also triggers 100% potent follow during combat. A guaranteed 100% potent hit is amazing for a unit with 26 base speed. It is only for player phase though, and Aegis Shield style can only be used every other turn once used. There are some limitations for Rodrigue, but for a free-to-play heroic rail unit, I don't think I can complain. Masterful Aura gives Rodrigue niches for player phase and enemy phase. Whatever his performance may be, Rodrigue certainly is a unique unit. For other skills, Rodrigue has Glaces, which he actually can trigger thanks to his cooldown perks. Attack and Res Bond 3 is kinda odd for a Mage Cavalier, but since Rodrigue has Savior, it can work. To make merging Rodrigue a tough choice, they have given him an extremely rare B skill with Magic Gambit 3. This skill gives regular % based on your max special cooldown value. Rodrigue's Slaying Glaces is on 3 cooldown. Well, Magic Gambit takes the 3 cooldown and subtracts 1, so we get 2. It then does 2 times 10% for 20% regular damage reduction. Only getting half of what Dodge DR can give is not great, and for enemy phase, it only applies when facing range units. Magic Gambit is valuable, but sadly not for its own effect. It's useful because it's needed to inherit the newer Demonic Force and Demonic Shackle Mage B skills. Even if you don't use Rodrigue, getting this skill in the free-to-play pool is very nice. If you plan to merge Rodrigue, his neutral nature grants plus 1 HP, attack, and resistance. Due to his magical saving, you may want his res super boon to go all out. Rodrigue could also use the high flat res for certain skills. Rodrigue already is one of the most unique free-to-play units we've gotten, and he faces very little class competition. There were only 7 free-to-play Blue Mage Cavaliers in total, with Bruno and Lorenz being the most recent. Those two are very much in the attack and speed category, while Rodrigue is solidly in the attack and res group. For the most part, Rodrigue has little to no competition if you want a high-res Mage Cavalier, and this applies to all colors, not just blue. The high res will give him access to more skills, which is nice, but his lower speed is going to get him doubled a lot. If you cut damage in half but get hit twice as often, is that still worth it? At the very least, even if you don't use Masterful Aura for whatever reasons, Rodrigue carves a unique stat line for himself. Rodrigue has 2 different playstyles for player phase and enemy phase. When initiating, ideally you want to use Aegis Shield style to get the 50% DR. If Rodrigue can survive a counter, he then gets a 100% potent follow-up guaranteed. This means he will always double with the style, or possibly get a third hit if you outspeed someone. This is great because Masterful Aura has Slang and Breath type cooldown. Rodrigue can definitely trigger Glacies or even Aether in one round. When it comes to enemy phase, Rodrigue doesn't actually want to be in the open taking magic damage. That's because he only gets the 50% DR when using Savior, so Rodrigue wants to be in the backline. This is a bit of a weak point. Since we have these super long range attack styles out there, he can get targeted directly and will be much more vulnerable. Another slight issue is that if Savior triggers versus dragons, you need to bring your own close counter skills to actually fight back. Luckily, we do have the Close Transcend Sacred Seal for that. For other skills, Magic Gambit will give 20% regular DR with Glacies or 30% if you swap to Aether. It's not a crazy amount of DR and it's pierceable, but it's still stacking with Aegis Shield, cutting damage in half. If you wanted to replace Magic Gambit, you could use Sabotage skills thanks to Rodrigue's high base res. Similarly, you can use Ploy-C skills or Sacred Seals for debuffing support. In the A slot, Bond skills are fine for Savior, but if you're going to move around to initiate, you may want Attack and Res Catch 3 instead. Technically, Form 3 can also give more stats than Bond. For other combat skills, Rodrigue can use Quick Riposte since he does not get free falls on the enemy phase. You could also use Red Feud if you want to lay down the law on certain sword-wielding sons. To get more general bulk to tank with, you could use the squad a CY seal for plus 6 HP and plus 4 attack and res. For support skills, since Rodrigue does give attack and res field buffs with fringe bonus, you could run Speed and Defense Link. He may not benefit from more Speed and Defense as much, but Masterful Aura does give plus 15, and we can help out allies with full plus 6 field buffing. For quote-unquote free premium skills from Heroic Rail units or Divine Code and Ephemera Common Manuals, Rodrigue has limited options. For older Ephemeras, you could upgrade to Magic Gambit 4 from Young Robin, or you can get a free Catch 4 from Summer Micaiah. Ninja Camilla offers a fun, close salvo and seal res 4 combo. For the normal 6 Divine Codes, Sapphi's the cheapest manual with Stillwater 4 and Attack and Speed Ploy 3. It's not perfect, but an option. The rest of the units are from the 4th or 5th columns, so they're a bit more expensive. Dimitri's Shadow Shift 4 is decent because it does give healing to Rodrigue. Rearm Lilina has 3 potential skills, including Attack and Res Ploy. Attune Cheetah has Guard Echo, while Micaiah and Marianne have higher tier Attack and Res A skills. From the normal 7 group, not a lot of cheap options at all. Dual Veil is probably the most interesting pickup here since she can give Ice Wall, Attack and Res Aria, and Attack and Res Detect Aerial. Unfortunately, Detect Aerial is not easy to inherit, otherwise Rodrigue could have gotten 3 nice skills. For other manuals, Hilda has Favor, Balder has Shadow Shift 4, and Attuned Alm has Low Echo, which is good. Attuned Elise Slight Echo can be used when Aegis Shield style is down. Last, we got 2 Ice Wall units in Rearm Sorin and Attuned Tharja. If you wanted, you also could use Sorin's Arcane Rex Bolt, but Masterful Aura has a lot of the same effects. If you want to use the more premium skills, Rodrigue can use the commonly paired Aria plus Demonic Force Mage build. He has the cooldown perks to trigger higher cooldown specials, which means more true damage from this setup. While Ice Wall is fine and can trigger its 40% DR twice thanks to Magic Twin Save, it might not always be ready. For guaranteed % DR stacking, you may want Ice Edge. Unfortunately, it's only on Harmonic Brave Micaiah, whereas Ice Wall is much more available. There's actually a bit of nuance between these two specials. With Demonic Force, Rodrigue could trigger Ice Wall after tanking 1 hit. If you can survive with Aegis Shield's 50% DR on the first attack, you could use Ice Wall's % DR on a follow-up, plus maybe even a potent hit thanks to Twin Save. As for Ice Edge, obviously it's going to deal more damage, and you're going to get more true damage out of the Aria and Demonic combo. However, Rodrigue probably needs a follow-up to trigger it, which may not always happen without his potent hit. If you focus on initiating with Aegis Shield style, I'd say Ice Edge is better just for the damage. If the enemy is attacking first, Ice Wall with Twin Save might let Rodrigue survive better. It kinda just depends on the scenario. Anyway, let's move on. For an initiation focused build, you could use Attack and Res Liberate for more in-combat stats with true damage. Rodrigue could use Flared or Slime Mirror for A skills. If you got nothing else, Tier 4 Seal B skills are an option too. If you want to use Savior versus Dragons, Rodrigue could use the Close Attack Defensive Res Bond skill. That does give debuff neutralization, so Demonic Shackle could be used instead. For more support skills, Rodrigue could run Still or Crystalline Water to stack flat resistance. He can use these to trigger skills like Detect Aerial, Truly Incited, or Attack and Res Ploy 3. For non-res comparing skills, Shackle or Favor are also fine. As mentioned earlier, Shadow Shift 4 can give stats with healing to the user. If you upgrade to the newer X versions, you can give those effects to allies as well. For Sacred Seals, low attack and res is decent, quick repose or squad ace can work. Regarding resonance, Rodrigue could use the true damage and DR piercing, but losing HP every fight is kinda counterproductive with Aegis Shield. So, should you promote Rodrigue to 5 stars? Among the free-to-play mages of any color, he has the highest base res. He also uses his high res to tank magic damage thanks to Masterful Aura's Magic Savior. Rodrigue gets 50% DR when using Savior, but he also gets 50% DR when initiating with his style. With the 100% potent hit on the style and his multiple cooldown perks, Rodrigue could unleash a special on his follow-up. Even if he isn't fighting, he also has some decent stat and cooldown support. Overall, Rodrigue is definitely one of the most unique units around, there's no denying that. You don't really see 5-star units giving themselves Savior, and having access to 50% damage reduction in the form of reducing the enemy's damage output is very nice. However, Rodrigue isn't particularly fast, so he may get doubled, which means he takes more damage anyway. His damage reduction also only works when using Savior for enemy phase, while his style has a 2-turn cooldown. It's not always going to be available, and when initiating, you need to deal with physical damage hits as well. For another concern, well, Mage Cavaliers just aren't really made for tanking. They have one of the lowest base stat totals, and they do not get a lot of skills designed for enemy phase. The first point is less of an issue due to Rodrigue's min-max stats, but when it comes to getting newer skills for a Savior role, I would not expect too much for a Mage Cavalier. With that being said, I think focusing on initiations first with Aegis Shield style is the goal for Rodrigue. 100% potent is so nice to have, even if it's only up every other turn. At the very least, it does make Rodrigue into a threat. We're definitely starting off the Gen 11 Grand Hero Bad units with a bang. I don't think Rodrigue's going to be everywhere, but he's certainly going to be a fun unit to mess around with. At worst, he can always lean into supportive builds. Masterful Aura is just a very cool weapon. That's all I have for this video. Go beat Rodrigue's Grand Hero battle map. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.